Hey, what's up, guys? Hope you're having a nice post-Halloween weekend and you've recovered from all the sugar and you're ready to get back to some fun Warhammer action. I had a great time last night playing a whole bunch of 1v1 battles with Tanker, and I just wanted to showcase one of the more fun games that we had. We had a few really, really fun games, and I think they were all pretty close and competitive. And we some of the games we tried out some things. Other games we went with some more conventional stuff. But this was one of the games where Tanker was trying something different, and I was trying something different. So Tanker was rocking Morgur, the Shadowgrave, which is not so uncommon for the Beastman. But what was, let's say, uncommon was this double Giant build and this double Cygor build. So this is becoming a new meta for the Beastmen, with where you go with a lot of large targets, especially with the cost reduction now with the Giant to 1500. If you don't have a lot of really dedicated anti-large tools or some very strong duelists, it can pose a problem for a lot of armies. And Dark Elves, they have some tools. They can certainly shoot those items down. So it's an interesting fight. I did bring a bull thrower. That's usually my insurance policy against the beastmen. One or two of them can be good, but of course, keeping them online is always a challenge. Over here, we have some Dark Riders. I wanted to secure this flank and deploy a little bit more off to one side, because if I deploy in the middle, I think against the Beastmen, you run the risk of getting overrun, especially because they are more middle. So I wanted to secure one side of the board and then basically push out that way. For myself, my little experiment was to try and play around with the Doombolt. It's a spell I've never really loved and haven't had a ton of success with. So I brought a Sorceress with just one Doombolt, and I have a Marathi with also her greater Doombolt. So the hope was that maybe I could find the Beastmen Lords and just drop some Doombolts on them from the sky. Of course, in this case, Tanker brought a Lord with regen, so it was a bit of an unfortunate scenario for me, because I was not convinced that I was going to be able to get the value out of it, but hey, I wanted to try it and give it a shot. So originally, I just wanted to step back out of the Cygor rock range, because he did have one that was chasing me here, and I wanted to give my bolt thrower a chance to fire. This might be a little bit of a long match, so I'm going to fast forward when needed. Okay, so first rocks are coming in here. They're going to be hitting, I think, some Bleak Swords. If you look, the Bleak Swords are under fire, but Tanker said to me after this match was done, he had regrets that he didn't shoot the Dark Shards first. Then I agree with him that that probably would have been more punishing to me. They are more expensive than the Bleak Swords. Actually, okay, no, here the Dark Shards are under fire. Oh, he's going for the Executioners. That's what he's going for. Yeah, that's certainly a good choice. I can understand that. Over here, some Chaos Warhounds with poison are going to catch out my Dark Riders. We were doing a little bit of a bait and switch going on here. I tried to tag the Ungor Spearman herd while they weren't braced. He pushed out the Chaos Warhounds to respond. I got just scraped a little bit in the back there, but I had the second unit. I tried to bait him to a little bit further so I could 2v1 the Chaos Warhounds, but Tanker wisely pulled back here. Alright, so here you're seeing the first Doombolt go down, and I've got one going on Morgur and one going on the Bray Shaman. This one whiffs completely. The other one whiffs completely. Oh no, that one connected. So a nice connect on the Bray Shaman. I think that's only because the Dark Riders came in. So the moral of the story is, if you're going to use a Doombolt, make sure that your opponent is immobilized. And I think the way to do that would be maybe with a Dark Rider charge or some spears or something. They basically have to be fighting infantry. In terms of damage, that Doombolt, I don't know if it was the one from Marathi or the other one, but maybe about 700 damage. Let's see. Yeah, you got about 600 damage from that Doombolt. Not too bad on the caster, but is it worth it? I don't think so, because by the time you kill that caster, he's going to have already used all of his Winds of Magic. I would have had to cast about 5 Doombolts on him, and by then he's already gassed his Winds of Magic, so what's the point? Over here, the Beastman Horde is getting into the fray. The Harganeth Executioners are, of course, having no problems beating off these Ungor Spearmen, but the back line is compromised because other Ungor Spearmen and Chaos Warhounds are slipping through. And I perhaps overreacted here. Man, it happened so quickly. Already my Bolt Thrower crew is being eaten up, so I think while I was microing the Doombolts and the Dark Riders and stuff over here, Tanker must have had something that disabled the crews. Even on the replay, man, I didn't see it. It happened so fast. But yeah, again, just the Chaos Warhounds causing me absolute nightmares. They have so much speed, and they have more speed than my Dark Riders, 95 versus the 92. So I was definitely on like backline cleanup duty, but while that was happening, my front line was getting rolled by the Giants. So I was sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place. I think there's a little bit of balling up going here. I probably wanted these Harganeth executioners pushed out, not necessarily on the Giant. So then backline stuff is rallying and regrouping. I'm going to need to turn that around to get that going to work very quickly. So overall, it looks like the front line is securing, but already the balance of power is shifting pretty heavily in favor of Tanker, and I think that's just because I was unable to protect my bolt throwers, and he basically disabled a lot of my backline shooting very, very quickly. I do have a Death Hag back here. I probably just was overwhelmed with the micro. There's a lot going on right now, as you can see, but while this is happening, the Cygors are chucking in rocks, and the Cygor rocks are netting him a lot of value. Over here, the Chaos Spawn has the Chaos Spawn has been summoned and replaced one of my units. Morgar is in here with his Giant. The Chaos Summon plus Morgar plus the Giant are probably going to be able to beat up the Dread Spears. Even though they are anti-large and I have 3 units there, they're just not taking enough damage. Well, it does say they're losing, but I do think that they are going to come out on top here. We'll see. The Dark Shards have regrouped, so I have a glimmer of hope here. Maybe they can start shooting things down. I am shooting into the Cygor, which is a summon, which is probably a mistake. I probably should have been shooting that Giant instead. Over here, the Dark Rider, oh, I do swap the target right there, so you do see that I'm not wasting the ammo on the summon. This Cygor summon has gotten into my Dark Shard, so I'm dealing with 2 summons here, one of which has just collapsed, the other one is chasing off my Dark Shards. I've got a unit of Dark Riders in reserve, which I can probably use to tie up the Cygor for a moment, just long enough for my Dark Shards to get out of range and kite that. Another Doom Bolt going down. This one does connect with Morgar because he's sitting still, and another Doom Bolt, and that one looked like it did fuck all. So I think the Doom Bolt is just, it's not viable as much as I'd like it to be, at least not against a Lord with regeneration, but it was worth a shot. Over here, the Executioners and the Bleak Swords have been able to beat away, repel most of the infantry, which is nice, but the Cygors are still online. They're checking rocks, and I don't think they have the mobility to catch the Cygors. Like, I was like, okay, well, I have a speed of 31. Cygor has a speed of 39, so if I chase the Cygor with the Harganeth Executioners, I'm going to just, like, go off into the distance. If I go after the Spears, they can sort of muck me up. But yeah, look at this. The rocks coming in, hitting Marathi, and look at how low she is. So a little bit of sniping action coming from Tanker with the Cygor. Very tough stuff. I'm down to 105 health. She's gonna flee to the edge of the map, and I do have Winds of Magic. I do have a Soul Stealer left, so as long as she can rally and get in a position where she can drop the Soul Stealer, then maybe I can pull the balance bar back a little bit. I've got 2 units of Dark Shard shooting on the Giants. Of course, this summon is going to come after me and mess that up. It looks like they've just hit their 1-minute time cap or whatever it is. But they did their work. They cleared off my 3 units of Dread Spears, so they've already netted him the value. And again, they just served as a bodyguard for Morgar while the rest of his army did the work. So over here, the shots from the Dark Shards are certainly doing a lot of damage on this Giant, and I wish I could have kept them online earlier. Over here, we've got 2 Cygors mashing and bashing in the infantry, and they're going to have no problems killing that infantry here. Maybe I should have just pulled that infantry back, but I mean, they still had a lot of rock ammo left, and I needed to stop them from shooting at least for a little bit of time, so that these Dark Shards could net some value. Already they were really depleted. They had been broken a few times, so if they break 3 times, they don't come back, right? So I was a little bit worried about that. Here I had to sacrifice basically a unit of Dark Riders and Dread Spears just to tie up this Giant. I am shooting in on him, but at this point, even though balance bar is really far in my opponent's favor, there's no summons left for the Beastmen. This Giant is almost out of the picture. I do have like I do have Soul Stealer left on Marathi. I had just been camping her out on the side, waiting until I had maybe a safe opportunity to pull her back. And yeah, so really it's just 3 single entities and a dead Giant that I had to deal with, and I still had 3 units of Dark Shards online. Well, this one's fleeing, but they were going to come back in a second once this Giant was dead. I had Dark Shards, I had 3 units of Dread Spears, I had my Dark Sorceress at full health, so I feel like I still had a lot of tools left in the kit, and if I could just drop that Soul Stealer from Marathi, maybe I could turn it around. Morgar the Shadowgrave is wavering here, but again, rocks are coming in on my head, and that's certainly punishing. But yeah, It certainly, I feel like balance bar is really far gone, but the game is coming down to the wire. So here I go. I make my move. I bring Marathi over here. I'm like, now's the time. I'm gonna need to get some summon or some a soul stealer to go down here. Look, Morgar the Shadow Gave is taking some shots from the dark shards. Don't forget, Morgar is a large target, right? Oh, am I wrong about that? Oh, I was completely wrong. I thought he was a large target. Did they change that? Okay, he counts as a small target apparently, even though he's massive and has tons of mass. A little bit surprised about that. If you look at him, he's at least as big as the Dark Riders, which count as large. Anyway, not bitter at all. Rocks, Morgar interrupts the charge of the Dark Shards. Rocks finish the job. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit here. Infantry's coming in here. Still trying to chunk down Morgar. I got to charge in with the Dark Sorceress. And look, okay, this is the opportunity. They're all blobbed up. Marathi's sitting on 100 HP. If this Soul Stealer goes down, she's going to get right back up to a decent amount of health. I got the Dark Shards online. Maybe I can pull this out, even though everything's wavering. Dark Shards are shooting in. Marathi dropping that Soul Stealer. It has a 5-second cast time. There it goes down. And as soon as the Soul Stealer goes down, boom, he punks her right in the face with the giant Cygor rock. I was so disappointed. Oh my goodness. And that was pretty much GG. As soon as Marathi dropped, I knew there was no chance. So that was a super fun game though. I guess the Executioner's net of value after all, even though they did get smashed with rocks. I think my big mistake was that bolt thrower. I'm gonna just watch that one more time. I want to see what the hell took out that bolt thrower. I'll go on super fast. It must have been the Chaos Warhounds with poison, but I don't know if he vanguarded a unit and I just didn't catch it. But yeah, so nifty micro there from Tanker. I'm gonna watch this one more time. All right, so here come the Chaos Warhounds. Oh man, they just went beeline right to my bolt thrower. I didn't even notice that. So super painful. I mean, I was just occupied with the frontline engagement there. That was embarrassing. Well, good game though to Tanker. All right, and here's another battle. This one I tried to bring the double assassin, thinking that maybe they would have a better chance against Morgar and give me an answer to the Chaos Spawn summons. And I brought the Sorceress of Beasts, I think, or Shadow on this one. Shadow. So basically these Chaos Warhounds and other skirmish units have been annoying the crap out of me. And Tanker had been bringing a lot of them against me. In this case, he's got 6 of them, right? And because nothing on my roster can match the speed of them, they would just hit and run, hit and run, hit and run, hit and run. And it was very, very frustrating to deal with. So I'm like, okay, if I have a Sorceress of Shadows, I can drop Malkos, I can get the Smoke and Mirrors proc, and then maybe my Dark Riders will have a chance of catching these Chaos Warhounds and killing the little buggers, because they were driving me crazy. So I consider this to be a more competitive pick, rather than, competitive option rather than my Doombolt way, and I actually decided to Vanguard my Assassins, because I had noticed that in a lot of the games, he had been just putting like his lords like really far back, overrunning me with all of his infantry and other units, and his lord was kind of safe to sit back in the distance until everything was engaged. Once everything was engaged, he pulled in his lord, and it was very frustrating because I could never get close to his lord. Like, okay, double assassin ploy in the back, maybe it's going to net me some value. They do have stock, right? So Tanker can't see them. But it is also a bit of a gamble, because if they do get detected, I didn't bring any shades or anything to support the assassins, so they would be at risk of just getting overrun by Warhounds and stuff. This game I vowed to protect my bolt thrower a little bit better after the big mistake the last game. So I had the repeater bolt thrower here. Again, the triple dark shards, because I thought they netted me a lot of value last game, although it is hard to keep them online. Even if they flee, there's a good chance they'll rally, and just even if it's half strength, it can do a lot of damage. So here we've got the Chaos Warhounds. I think they detected my assassins or something, so I'm like, oh crap, I don't want my assassins to get run over, so I sent in the Dark Riders, got in a charge on one unit, but in a 3v1 scenario, certainly this one's going to lose. These assassins are shooting in, but I'm going to send them into melee to help the fight against the Chaos Warhounds and send over some more units to support. some Dark Riders over here. On the other hand, this unit is just screening, baiting baiting the other army out here. They just bait and fall back. But they do get some hot pursuit from some Chaos Warhounds. I do have the Dark Shards over on the far flank, and they're going to be supporting. Over here, the Assassins, with the support of the Dark Riders, are going to be able to break off these Chaos Warhounds. So 2 units of Chaos Warhounds. I've lost 1 unit of Dark Riders. I consider that a win on my part on this flank. Balance Bar is in favor of Tanker, but I feel like, I mean, I've broken off 2 units of Warhounds. This unit's going to break as well. I think things are going well for me, at least in the start. I'm going to take in some shots to these distressed Jackalwall Forest. They're very annoying to deal with the poison and the high melee defense. So if I can get them off the board, or at least get the damage by artillery penalty onto them, then that's going to be working out in my favor. I did bring a unit of Witch Elves too, again, because I was super annoyed with all of the cycle charging, and I thought that maybe they could catch something. So the Malakoths plus Witch Elves plus Dark Riders could maybe keep that in check. Over here I have the Dark Shards. At least this time I've been able to protect my shooting pocket a little bit. I've got this repeater bolt thrower, just making sure that these guys don't rally. I'm going to swap the Dark Riders onto them and then probably switch my bolt thrower target onto something more valuable. But I really wanted to, for the first time in a long time, control the mobility game against Tanker. Over here we do see a Vile Tide coming down. That's going to smash a unit of Witch Elves and Dark Riders. It looks like it whiffed a little bit. I'm not too sure there. Witch Elves are doing pretty good against these Chaos Warhounds with poison, so very happy about that. Tanker's down to 1 unit of Chaos Warhounds with poison, and I guess 2 of them have rallied. I was unable to chase them off the board. Perhaps it was because of these Ungor Raiders. Tanker's had his Ungor Raiders very far back for most of the fight, which is maybe a good thing for me, that I haven't felt as much pressure being overwhelmed. Bestigor Herd are going to get in here, get on with the Witch Elves. I cast an Enfeebling Foe on them because I want to keep my infantry alive and fighting a little bit. I'm going to get a charge in on them with the Dark Riders and start shooting them, I think, with the... Oh, I see. I think I had been shooting them maybe with the repeater crossbow, but I saw some blobbing going up here, so I swapped the targets. Over here, the Chaos Warhounds get into the Dark Shards, so very intense action going on over here. My Sorceress is going to get into it and just try and do a little bit of damage, break off these Chaos Warhounds, because I did see they were low on leadership. But when she goes forward, the other one goes back, and it's just so hard to keep that in check. Balance Bar trending slightly in my favor, but Tanker does have 3 units in reserve here. The reason it's shifted in my favor is the 2 Manticores have been able to dive Morgar and do some pretty good damage. And over here, they are going to be fighting these Bestigor Herd, who are wavering, very low on leadership. I think the Manticore should do okay here. They can also get in on the Caster. I've got 2 Assassins in on the Caster. Charge from the Manticore, again, doing some really nice work. I'm expecting that Caster is going to break off. Meanwhile, my Chaos Sorcerer is... my Sorcerer's Shadows chasing off the Chaos Warhounds. In the back line, my Bolt Thrower crew still more or less intact, but they've had to flee from these Gore Herd who've been pushing in the back line. Witch Elves and Dark Riders are going to have to try and deal with them. Over here, losing the unit of Dark Shards from, again, Chaos Warhounds with poison. I can't be everywhere, and the spears are mucking up these spears over here. Bestigor Herd are in, and they're going to chop off these Dread Spears pretty well. I do have the Manticores up, and now, really... Balance Bar is still dead even, but Morgar, luckily for him, he actually ended up fleeing in the direction of his 3 units of Ungor Raiders, which is the perfect counter to my Manticore. So I had a hard time just sort of chasing and finishing the job. He was so low. These Assassins got stuck up on Ungor Herd. I saw they were wavering, so I was like, okay, a Terror Bomb should be able to break them off, and then I can just move on, and then I can free up my Assassins to go fight Morgar the Shadowgrave. I've got spears in on these Chaos Spawn and my 2 Assassins, but the Chaos Spawn are going to just buy enough time for those annoying Ungors to continue shooting. This unit, I think, had been also shot by the Ungors and had broken off. So I'm going to make a desperate ploy here. Just try and finish off Morgar, because if you kill the Beastman Lord, it's usually a victory condition because everything routes off the field. So I've got these... this Manticore in here on Morgar, but he starts to rampage at the worst possible freaking time. And I think he starts, I don't know, maybe attacking some... No, he's still attacking Morgar. So Morgar is on, like, what? He's on 700 HP, but he's just power healing. And I think the hits are not landing. I'm not really sure. But yeah, Rampage kicking in. And when Rampage goes, they just attack the closest unit. So Morgar escapes. The Chaos Warhounds net them, poison them, and I'm stuck fighting like just basically chaff. Meanwhile, the rest of my army is broken off because I dedicated the 2 manticores over here, and that was a lot of resources. The bolt thrower is basically offline, as are the dark shards, because I've dedicated basically all of my mobility to trying to finish Morgar. So I can just pause right here. So let's see, what's the HP of Morgar? He's sitting at 500 HP. He's got 2 manticores on him, and his chaos and his gore herd is I think fleeing. Oh no, they're fighting to the bitter. Okay, there they flee. But yeah, no, he's still fleeing. The manticores are whiffing again and again and again. Let's see. Still 600 HP, 2 manticores on him, nothing else there. Chaos Sorcerer is here, but they don't stay on the ground for some reason. The attack animation has them like flying up in the air. So instead of this guy just eating Morgar's face, he's decided to fly up in the air and take a lot of arrow shots, which is super frustrating. So I send my sorceress in here. I'm hoping that if they aren't on guard mode, that'll cause them to ball up around my sorceress and allow the manticore to do this thing. But this one breaks off because of the arrow fire and because it was its stupid attack animation. Meanwhile, the other one is still failing to finish the job on Morgar. He's at 250 HP and just power healing everything. My backline over here has been trying to deal with these destroyers of Drakenwald Forest, but they're absolute world beaters. They're up to 88 kills, and nothing has been able to kill them. Cycle charging with Dark Riders is not doing it. They have poison, anti-large. The Dark Shards are struggling to be able to shoot them enough. Maybe I should have sent over the Spears, but the Spears are, because the Blackhorn Ravagers are losing that fight. It's 2 regiments of round against unit of Dread Spears, so I don't really have enough to fight that strong pocket of infantry. Even though I outnumber them like 6 units to 1, it is 2 regiments of renown, and they are able to beat my infantry and just push my dark shards every time. So it's tough. But yeah, Manticore I think has been... Did it finish the job against Morgar? Yeah, it did finish the job against Morgar eventually, but if you look, it's been taking some pot shots from the Ungor herd. So it took out Morgar, but it didn't do it as efficiently as I would have liked to see, and I did lose that other Manticore. So the Chaos Sorcerer, sorry, I don't know why I called Chaos. The Supreme Sorceress of Shadow, obviously it doesn't want to stick around the 2 units of Bestigor, so she's going to have to fall back, but for the first time in like a million games against Tanker, I think I finally have the mobility advantage. I've got an Assassin, I've got the Manticore, I've got the Chaos Sorceress. I didn't notice the Manticore was taking shots here for a second, so I took 2 or 3 unnecessary volleys. Very painful stuff here, and I think that was just because I was trying to micro this backline and shore it up, but that was really, really a big mistake by myself. I do notice eventually, but I took probably 3 or 4 volleys there, and maybe that could have cost me the game. Dark Shards are back online, though. I do have a unit of Witch Elves that's rallied, and now I can sort of turn my attention to this isolated unit over here. But yeah, the poison plus these Blackhorn Ravagers is sort of a nice 1-2 punch, because the poison makes it easier for the Blackhorn Ravagers to win, and yeah. Very efficient stuff. Assassin is online. I was just trying to pick off some Bestigor herd. I'm going to fast forward a little bit here. Shots coming in on the Assassin. I'm going to try and kite and fight. He's a little bit of a small target. And Tanker is going to wisely ball up and just build a little camp, Beastmen camp in the woods, as they do. Very rare to see Beastmen ball up like this, but in this game it happened. And I was super annoyed that I didn't bring a Vortex spell, because if I had one Vortex spell, this game is over. And I kicked myself after the game for not bringing that. But anyway, Balance Bar is still heavily in favor of the Beastmen. I get caught out with some shots here. This guy's going to rampage, so I'm like, okay, I just have to all-in commit here. But Manticore does have terror, right? And that's the reason I brought the Manticores, besides to duel Morgar, was to do this terror bomb. And everything starts routing because of the Manticore. I'm like, look, Balance Bar is back, shifted back to even, almost back in my favor. Chaos Warhound's rally. Manticore, again, just punting everything out of the way. Manticore gets down to, what, 600, 500 HP. I know if the Manticore dies, it's GG for me. I am fighting, unfortunately, in the woods, but I'm basically just looking for anything that's terror bombing and then trying to do a little hero pocket just so I don't get fully surrounded. And Balance Bar is trending a little bit towards tanky here, but again, another terror bomb. I've got a shot. My Sorceress does have a lot of Winds of Magic. I get into this unit of Ungor Raiders. Look, everything on the map is routing. If this unit breaks, then the way that Warhammer works is if all the units are routing, then you immediately win. Actually, these best scores have rally, but yeah, Ungor Raiders, MVPs in melee combat, just buying enough time here. Yeah, maybe it's now. If you look, everything on the map is routing. If this unit of Bestigor Herd breaks, then that's game over. Because the game, if every unit is routing, it's instantly over. I cast an Enfeebling Foe on it. Assassin's here. Sorceress thinks about a charge. She's sitting on 26 HP, so I have to be super, super careful. Assassin's just cutting them down slowly but surely, but he's fully surrounded. Maybe I should have kept my Sorceress out, but I go in Dark Elf mode. I try and charge one last time, but she gets cut down, and that ends my chances of victory. Assassin drops 2, and GG. So 2 super fun matches to Tanker. I did get a couple of wins versus him later on, but he certainly beat my ass in the initial fights there, and I had to cast these because they were just so much fun to play. So I hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you around. Bye.